Thank you, Steph. And here's where we begin. Another record day in the province for new COVID-19 cases, with Peel Region overtaking Toronto with the highest count. So Peel leading the way with new infections, a record high, 468. Ontario reported more than 1,400 daily cases yesterday. Toronto saw the second most, 384. The new numbers pushed the province's 7-day average above 1,200, which is higher than at any other time in the pandemic. And as always, today's new numbers will be coming down at 10:30 this morning, so stay with citynews.ca for that. A community advocate suggesting the reason Peel is struggling to contain the spread is that public health information is not being properly translated and communicated to residents whose first language is not English.
You actually have to get out into the community, into the grassroots, actually engage folks where they are. Communications around COVID-19, how do we mitigate against it? What should we be doing? The guidelines have been confusing, sometimes contradicting, not entirely clear. And that's for people who speak English as a first language.
The region's public health website can be translated in a variety of languages. However, community groups like the Tamil Canadian Centre for Civic Action say they have been filling in the gaps in government communication. But they say there has been little funding for outreach, given how the pandemic has disproportionately impacted racialized communities. Brampton is set to deliver its latest COVID update at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll be following that as well. And Toronto's new strict COVID measures beyond the red zone set by the province includes no indoor dining, and that continues to put a financial strain on the city's businesses, including restaurants.
But now we don't have a curb patio. I don't have anything outside to pull. So that means I have to wait and suffer as long as this pandemic goes on.
So with only takeout and delivery available, city officials have acknowledged the impact on small business, but they say the case levels and COVID reproductive numbers they're too high for reopening. The restrictions were put in place Tuesday for another 28 days and then will be reviewed near the end of that period to see how the city will move forward. Now, coming up just after 7 o'clock, we're going to be hearing from Mayor John Tory on the extension of these restrictions and so much more coming up again just after the 7 o'clock time hour. We are following a devastating situation at the Kenedy Lodge long-term care home on Kennedy Road in Scarborough. That is where 29 residents have died from COVID-19 since the beginning of October. There have been 92 confirmed cases among residents. 31 are still active. 32 have recovered. All residents are currently self-isolating and being checked twice daily for symptoms. Among the staff, there have been 35 cases. Of those, 17 resolved. The rest self-isolating at home. The private facility is owned and operated by Rivera, a Mississauga-based company. We're also following what's happening in York Region, dealing with another outbreak caused by recent wedding celebrations. 17 people with the virus linked to 2 recent weddings and related events in Vaughan. The festivities took place October 28th and 30th at 2 venues, the Chateau Le Jardin and Paradise Banquet Hall, The public health unit says the event venues followed infection control measures, and the virus may have been spread at pre-wedding events at private homes in Markham and Ajax, where physical distancing was not observed. The Toronto van attack trial is set to resume this morning after a day off due to Remembrance Day yesterday. Alec Manassian is charged with 10 counts of first-degree murder, 16 counts of attempted murder. On Tuesday, the prosecutor outlined a detailed, agreed statement of facts of the terrible 4 minutes that took place on April 23rd, 2018. It left 10 people dead, 16 injured. While the 28-year-old has admitted, to planning and carrying out the attack, he has pleaded not guilty, and his lawyers will argue that he is not criminally responsible due to a mental disorder. The trial is being held virtually. And victims, their families, and the public can watch proceedings at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre. The verdict, again, will determine if Manassian goes to prison for life or if he is sent to a psychiatric facility. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, a smaller crowd on hand for Remembrance Day for the unveiling of a new memorial at Queen's Park honoring Canadian soldiers who died in Afghanistan.
Like many nations around the world, we gather together on November 11th to remember and thank the millions of Canadians who traveled far from home to serve our country in times of peace and war.
Lieutenant Governor Elizabeth Dowdeswell and Premier Doug Ford unveiling the new memorial to commemorate the 158 Canadian Armed Forces personnel killed in the war in Afghanistan. Complementing the black granite Veterans Monument built in 2006, the new memorial features a zigzagging bronze ribbon to symbolize Afghanistan's mountainous terrain. It includes a stone from the Nunukshuk dedicated to the fallen, which was erected by Canadian soldiers at the Kandahar airfields.